Welcome back for another book review. Today we're talking about this one. So this is Elemental Healing, a 5-element path for ancestor connection, balanced energy, and an aligned life. And this is by Camellia Lee. So this is not a terribly big book, but surprisingly there was a lot of information in here, and the pages are beautiful. Like the coloring in here, like it matches whatever section you're in, which, I mean, it's like a little detail, but I just absolutely loved it. Because like you just get fun little things that go along with each of the elements. These are not the usual elements that we are used to. This is more of an Eastern system versus Western with like Europe. And so it's always just, it's fascinating to me. Like I don't know that I would ever adopt into this like belief system by any means, but at the same time, it's really, really interesting to read about. The 5 elements are fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. Which, if you are a witch, you're gonna be like, but some of those we know, some of them we don't. They kind of take on different meanings between the two systems. So wood kind of takes on the characteristics that we normally associate for air, and metal kind of does its own thing, and I kind of dig it. And like fire does different to different, like it's just different, and it's really interesting to read through because basically it's a different system, obviously, so it's gonna be different, and it's fascinating. I was just thoroughly impressed reading through this because I don't know a lot about it. I haven't ever really looked into a whole lot of like the Eastern religions. I just kind of found Wicca and went to witchcraft and just like European-ish paganism, like what we usually associate for it. So like the usual pantheons, like I don't really do much with the Eastern ones. Like I haven't ever looked into like, I think, what is it, the Shinto have deities as well? So, one of them has deities. And like, you know, we have like a few concepts that kind of transferred over. Like a lot of us talk about like karma and it's not quite the same as like the OG karma. We kind of tweaked it a little bit. And it's not like reincarnation, we've kind of adjusted a little bit and things like that. Like there's some things that we have that are similar, but there's a lot that we don't. And it's sometimes fun to read different books. So this is definitely not like things that you would normally find. It's different. Not bad, just different. So my rating for this book is a 4 out of 5. I absolutely loved this book. It was so good and so informative. And the main reason that I got this was, first of all, again, I don't read things. So when I was searching the interwebs and was like, what is this book gonna be about? I saw elemental and I was like, the elements? All right, kind of different. Not knowing it was gonna be Eastern. Should have picked that up from the title and the picture here, because those aren't normal symbols that we know. I don't know what those, I think those are words. I'm pretty sure. I would bet money. That says fire. That says, what's the yellow one? Earth? I don't know what they mean. But these ones. But I was just absolutely fascinated, and that's like the word for this book, because again, it's not one that I would really typically like pick because I'm not exactly big into it, but at the same time it does feel a smidge bit a little more restrictive, not to the same degree as like some, like a lot of Native Americans. Like it is rough to get into if you were not born or married into the culture, and like Eastern religions are like kind of the same way, but like not quite as intense from my experience. But at the same time, like you don't want to step on like cultural toes. And she talks about that, or I guess, sorry, their pronouns are slashed, so whichever, I guess, I don't know. I'm assuming when it says they / she, you can use either of the two, but they also describe themselves as non-binary. I'm trying. I'm not used to having non-binary authors, so pronouns, I will try. Which actually, on that note, is one of the reasons I really liked this book, because like right off the bat, the author talks about how yin and yang are not to be confined down into just genders, and specifically as like yin is supposed to be for female and yang is supposed to be for male. Pretty sure that's what they're supposed to be. But talks about how it's like not confined down to like the like genders that we have. It's way broader than that, and that like even individual organs can have both yin and yang energy, and that the two coexist within each other all the time. And like the way the author described that was just like, I want you to write about that so much more. It wasn't the point of the book. The point of the book was the elements. But like there's just little snippets here and there because I don't think you can get away from yin and yang without that. But it was just fascinating because again, I don't like the polarity that we have in the Western versions where it's like, ah yes, the inner divine feminine, the inner divine masculine. I love the concept of yin and yang, but I don't want to step on cultural toes, so I'm trying to do my best to learn about it before I see if I want to incorporate that into my own little practice just for me over here in the interwebs. So like, I'm trying to figure it out. But I like this idea that it's not confined down into just, yin is going to be, I'm pretty certain, but I will fully admit I'm a noob at this one. I don't know what I'm doing. But yin is supposed to be like the moon and feminine and all of these different things, and the author's like, or it's not. Like, it's just these different energies and the way they manifest, and like the way yin and yang is just brought up, and like the different flow of energy, and you're like, this is so cool. Like, I never really explored much into the Eastern beliefs because I just feel like it's so easy to step on toes for that I don't want to step on toes. I'm just like super fascinated. Like, I would love to like have somebody who knows their stuff to like walk me through it and be like, here's how we do things and like whatever. Cause like it's been around so much. Like it doesn't, from what I have seen so far, which again, newbie, don't know what I'm doing, doesn't seem like they had quite the cultural erasing that like European history has had, where Christianity took over and was like, no, forget all of that. It's all about us. Didn't seem to have that complete like erasing of the old beliefs that we see with like our pagan ancestors and our ancestry of people who were from somewhere around Europe, you know? The author also makes a point to talk about a little teensy tiny bit of a call out of like adoptive families, but really there is like this like very big, wow, the sun has decided to illuminate us today. But there is this big emphasis on like your lineage and your ancestors, which again, it tends to be quite popular. Like you see it just presented whenever these cultures like China, Japan, I want to say some of the other ones over there, like I want to say India has it too, but I can't confirm. I think they do. I know they're a little different, obviously, but like different places over there. You think of the big names really, but like people who are over there, like ancestor work is really big, kind of like how it is in like Central America. Like having ancestor altars is just a thing. And so like naturally in the book, there's going to be a lot of ancestor stuff. And it was interesting that the way to handle it was like, well, if you know that you have bad people in your like family line, just play leapfrog. And I'm like, I love that because we do. Like my family in particular, we do leapfrog over some of the dead because like you sucked in life, I don't care, we're just gonna whoop right over you. You don't count, bye. And just keep going because like some people suck, and so there's plenty that were like, nope, just not gonna acknowledge you. And I'm glad that they mentioned that in the book, that not everyone is going to have great ancestors and sometimes they do suck. But then at the same time there's this thing of like calling to your ancestors of like ye olden times and like some of the very first humans, and going all the way back to those ancestors where community was huge, because if you didn't have community, you died. That was it. Really big on community and really big on innovation, because they're like, wow, being alive is hard. And so it was like interesting that like the way they described it in the book was something like calling to like these really, really old ancestors to be like, hey buddy, and they're like waking from like this long, deep sleep to be like, what do you want? Sure. Like, what can I help you with, bro? Like, it's a fun little thing to think about, because like we don't usually think of ancestors like way back. Like normally you just don't, you know, or they just become really vague. I don't know. Overall, this was just a really interesting book. I'm excited to read more about it. Not necessarily to like explore it too much, but just like there's just certain concepts that I would really like to know more about. Again, yin and yang is a big one, because I really like the idea of it more than the inner masculine and inner feminine. Especially from a non-binary person, I'm really loving that idea. So I hope to find more, especially from non-binary voices, because I feel like it is a unique perspective that I would love to learn more about from them in particular, because Like, again, I'm not a huge fan of the traditional masculine and feminine things, and like yin and yang is like where both exist simultaneously, but like also like one is more prevalent than the other. Like, it's a concept I'm excited to explore more. I have a book coming up that we'll be talking about that's all about yin and yang, but I don't know that the author's non-binary like this one was. So anyways, this was rambly, but I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and obviously if you were interested in anything related to this would be a great book. If you're looking into any like Eastern beliefs, like she mentions quite a few. Like there was Taoism, Chinese medicine, I think there was a little bit of Confucianism, maybe Tao, because there's a difference I think between Tao and Tao, and I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing them correctly, so my bad. Words are not my friend. But like there's so many different beliefs that are brought up in this book. So if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff, like this is a great starting point if you want to learn about yin and yang energy, if you want to learn about the Eastern variation of the 5 elements. Really fascinating to read through. Like some of it you're like, oh, that sounds familiar, but then other things it's like, what? Like Mars is not the planet for war. It is like the love planet or something like that, and it's like, I am so intrigued right now. Like it was just fun to read through, basically. Will I buy this book? Absolutely. It is one that it's like, I might not read through it often, but the journal prompts and things through this book are so good. Like it really dives you into yourself in ways that like a lot of the witchcraft books try to do, but I feel like this one just did so much better at it. So it's one I'm very excited to get a copy of and work through myself, at least for that part of it, because like the exercises and stuff are really fascinating, and it would be interesting to look at the world slightly different, if not just for a little bit, to be like, how do I connect with the element of wood or the element of metal? Like it's just different, or how fire can be represented very differently. It's really interesting, and I loved this book. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. As always, a huge thank you to my patrons. If you want to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post every single day, and until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.